Hey y'all. So vibe with me for a bit. Connect with me outside of comfort zones today. What we are connecting on? Ego and pride. Ego and pride are two concepts that have a double-edged sword, right? Basically meaning that there are positives and negatives to these two. Now, this may sound a little crazy or whatever, but my spirit, my angels, they have been riding me a lot lately, mainly because, like the majority of people, I'm going through a transformation, an upgrade, which I am more than appreciative of. And I was awakened this morning, maybe probably like for something. And that was the first thing that popped in my mind. Not necessarily that ego and pride are two concepts with a double edged sword, but I've just been asking, like, what exactly is it that I'm holding on to? What do I need to release with this upcoming full moon? And what I was told to release was my pride. Now, for me, right, I immediately thought in a negative sense, but then it hit me, holy crap, pride is a double-edged sword. Now, I saw someone else in my dream, and they were like, this dream, it was actually pretty weird. I don't want to go too deep into it, but we were like holding cards or boards of some kind with what it was that we needed to let go of. And someone else was holding a card and it said ego on it. Now, of course, I immediately just attributed it to myself, right? So, the double edged sword of ego and pride, the positives to having a healthy ego. You have a positive sense of self, right? You are confident. You would tend to do more purpose driven work. People who have healthy egos, like they are just so sure of themselves. Excuse me. And it made me think back to when, my ego was really healthy, as well as where it's leading to now, hence why I'm able to, record more of these videos. And I'm going to get that worm off of me as well, that, worm. But anywho, the positive aspects to ego, you can motivate people, you inspire people. When you have a healthy ego, you exude and exhibit so much resilience, and then you share your resilience to inspire and motivate others. You just possess these leadership qualities without even trying to, right? But then the other edge of that sword, when you think about the negative aspects of ego, the arrogance that comes with it, the lack of empathy, that harmful pride. And there goes the pride in ego, which made me think to myself, about my own ego, or where it once was when I had this dream with this coming up, with, this being a thing for me to share. That harmful pride, right? And I've experienced the harmful pride where I know that I have hurt someone that I loved in some kind of way. Or, like I realized that I was wrong about something, but because I had that harmful pride, it killed me at one point in my life to apologize, to take accountability for my behaviors, and, to just say I was wrong. And that is where the negative aspects of ego come in. Some people who have the negative aspects of ego, that bad edge to that sword, they have like this superiority complex, where it's like, I am better than you. They are not receptive to opinions and the feedback of other people. Whereas when you are sure of yourself, you can listen to other people's opinions and for me, it would make me self analyze, right? It would make me look at myself. And if the other person, what they say, if this was something that I also saw in myself that I possibly didn't like or did like, it's like, oh, okay, I can work on this or whatever. But when you are sitting in the negative aspects of ego, you don't want to hear anything that anyone has to say. You don't want to hear their opinion on things. You don't want to hear their views. It's just like the only thing that matters is what I say and how I feel. Also, when people are in this negative aspect of their ego, they resist change. I swear, I don't know why Spirit placed this on my heart for me to share. I really just thought that it was something about me. But because I am tapping more back into my authentic self, I realized that things that I learned, the knowledge that I have is not for me, it is for me to share. I just needed to say that. So now let's get into the double edged sword of pride, the negative aspect of having too much pride, which I stated already, the harmful pride, where you may not speak up and ask for help, where you may not want to be accountable, where you may not want to, apologize to those whom you may have loved, where you may not want to be vulnerable, you know? And lately, I've been hearing that vulnerability and transparency are two different things, which I already knew that they were. But I've also heard that, or I believe I read it somewhere. Vulnerability is where you open yourself up to being hurt. And transparency, is just where you're being transparent, like you're stating all the honest things about yourself just to share and inspire and encourage, right? When, and right now I'm getting back to the negative aspects of pride because that is something for a completely different video and I don't want this to be too long. The negatives to having pride, that double-edged sword of it, you have an inflated sense of self-importance, right? Where you think that everyone is just so focused on you and talking about you. And that negative sense of pride, it can stop you from doing the things that you desire. You overestimate your abilities. These are for the people who, display the negative aspects of pride. They have poor decision making. They fail to learn from their experiences. And as I stated already, as with ego, they just disregard the opinions of others. Now, the positives to that double-edged sword of pride is when you are just, I'm not going to say overly prideful, but when you are proud of who you are, proud of the things that you've overcome, where you don't really need the validation from others. Ego and pride are very similar. It's like they go hand in hand, they live with each other, right? A very prideful person will share their achievements and they will even share their failures and how they learned from their failures. As I'm sitting here and saying this, I realize why this came to me in my dream. We're all going through something right now, right? And there are many things that I'm going through, and I've always had too much pride to ask for help. And my spirit has been breaking me down to say, hey, of course, I am doing the work to achieve the goals that I want, but I love to promote that people need people, that the community is needed again, and it's needed more than ever now. The village is needed. But what I'm getting right now is my higher self, my angels, they basically are saying to me, how can I believe that the village is needed again, that it's very important, that community is needed, but I believe that I can't go to my own community out of my own pride and say, hey, I need help in these areas, right? But then the other end of that sword, my higher self, my angels, they also want me to share my achievements, the things that I've overcome, not only with others, but for me to remember them with myself. There have been many things that I've went through, just like you in life, that could have broke me down, that was intended to break me down, that was intended to make me feel less than, that was intended to make me feel worthless. And for a little bit of time, I'm not even on front. I believed that stuff. I believed it. I believed it. I held on to it. I reveled in it. I lived in it. But one thing that I love about me and that I want to inspire and encourage with you is to never allow your adversity to keep you down for too long. Learn from the mistakes. When you can learn from your mistakes, that, my dear, is growth. And I don't even like to call them mistakes. Everything that is deemed as a mistake, I love to call it an experience because that's what it was, right? All of our experiences, good, bad, we're supposed to learn from them. And a lot of the time, when we don't get the result that we expect to receive, when we don't get the result that we want, we see it as a mistake. No, it was an experience. It was something for you to learn from. See it as that.
So the rest of my video, I realized my mic that I was using, it died, and there's no way for me to retrieve the audio on it as of yet, and I wanted to get the message out there. What I was receiving at that time was that my higher self, my angels, they were basically stating to me, for me to step outside of my harmful pride and reach out to my immediate community to let them know the ways where I needed assistance, but also for me to be proud of how I overcame the things that I've been through, from a suicide attempt to having guns pulled on me to being incarcerated and learning a trade while I was in there, like making the most of my time, even while experiencing moments of adversity and just immaturity within myself, right? Because I was 19, 20 when I first got incarcerated or whatever. For me to see how far I have come in life, even for me to see like how far I've come just within the last few years, right? I was in a relationship that was toxic, and I'm not even going to get into the details right now as to how toxic it was, but there were so many toxic relationships that I had in my life that I held on to. One, because of history. Two, because it's family, and at that point, I believe that, hey, they're your family, you're supposed to hold on to them no matter what, just to keep trying to work on things. And when I started to love myself more, respect myself more, and remove myself from these relationships, which it was not hard, it was not easy, so that's why I said when I started to do so, there were many moments and many days where I was in the dark, like, meaning where I was battling myself, battling my thoughts, fighting with myself internally, mentally, because I would beat myself up and question, why did I allow the things that I allowed and whatnot? Um, but there was something that I used to say, and I realized that this is also what my angels and my higher self want me to remember. I used to always say, I can't stop being who I am because they are being who they are. And I forgot that for some time. You know, that was why I was beating myself up, questioning why I allowed the things that I did allow. But who believes, you know, that someone that they love and someone that they trust and, you know, someone that they're being transparent with, vulnerable with, someone who's their family, who believes that people are just out to hurt you, right? And not saying that everyone who, you know, who hurts us is doing it intentionally, but you have some people who are just so prideful, you know, that they don't care how they hurt you. They're not going to admit their wrongs no matter how much it hurts them. And that was me at one time, right? But I grew past that. Not only did I grow past that, I also grew past the pain and the hurt, which makes it easy right now for me to be here sharing this with you, for me to be recording myself, you know, to share this with you, to hopefully inspire you. If you are going through similar things, know that you are going to get through it, you know. Shed that ego. If you are holding on to the negative ego, shed that pride. If you are holding on to the negative pride, shed it. You know, it's not needed. I know for me it was not needed. And yeah, I realized that my spirits, you know, they wanted me to share how that I am finally over the pains. I made it through the pains by going within, by sitting with me. I no longer need the outside validation because I validate me. I no longer need the toxic love because I love me very healthily, right? I don't even know if that's a word right now, but I love me in the most healthy ways. I don't need to be around people who will disrespect me because I respect me. And yeah, that's where the positive pride comes in. I'm proud to, and this is going to sound crazy, to have gone through the negative experiences that I went through, because if I would not have gone through those things, I wouldn't have the compassion that I have now. I wouldn't have the forgiveness that I have now. I would not have, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have the faith because, you know, we're human. The faith, it comes and it goes. But the way that this faith is now, man, listen. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have the faith that I have now. And I would not have the love that I have now for me. So I encourage you, you know, like I said, let go of the harmful ego, the harmful pride, and go within. You know, everything that you need is within you. You are God. God is you. Just like I am God. God I am. I love you. I hope that I gave enough of the message because so much of it got lost to no sound. So hopefully I can retrieve that. But yet again, I love you. Thank you for connecting with me outside of comfort zones. Until next time.